I'm Nito the GTG and welcome to Raging G. So, last video for this Halloween and I decided to talk about a manga since it's been a while. But it's not a heavy horror one or one filled with blood and gore everywhere. Instead, it's one that has a few unsettling things, a magnificent setting and a small but interesting group of characters. So let's dive into the abyss with Made in Abyss. First of all, know that we will talk about a few story elements from the first 6 volumes of the book. I won't reveal crucial plot points or heavy spoilers, but I will mention some elements. I know how bad spoilers are, so I will take heavy consideration on what I'll say. Let's move on with the introduction of the creator of this splendid manga. It's Akihito Tsukushi, and this is his first big work. He made the characters for Fairy Musketeer Akazukin and after that Made in Abyss. And for a first job, it's great. Now let's talk about the story. But before we go to the characters, we need to say a few things about the setting. We are in the city of Orth, located in the northern seas of Pellask. In the middle of the city there is a huge hole. Many people call that hole the Abyss, because it contains many mysterious creatures, unexplained phenomena, and a curse that is inflicted to every person that tries to climb back out of it. But brave people called the Delvers dive every day in it, deeper and deeper, trying to unearth the mysteries, finding rare artifacts that contain unexplained powers and trying to survive the climb. The Abyss is split into layers from the surface down. Each one has a harsher environment with many dangers and the curse that gets worse and worse. The first layer will give you a light dizziness and nausea if you're trying to climb out. The second, heavy nausea, headaches and numbness of limbs. The third, vertigo combined with visual and auditory hallucinations. Fourth, intense full body pain and hemorrhage from every single orifice of your body. Fifth, complete sensory deprivations, confusion and self-harming behavior. Sixth layer, devastating body alterations that result in the loss of humanity and sometimes certain death. 7th layer, death. And the Abyss goes even further down, but nobody has returned from it. Delvers are the people that, as I said, go into the Abyss. They are split into 5 categories. Red Whistles, the rookies. They can go up to 550 meters. If they reach under 1350 meters, it's considered a suicide and nobody will try to find them. Blue Whistles are allowed to go to the 2nd layer. Moon Whistles are considered the teachers, since they have an extensive knowledge of the Abyss and they teach the younger generations. Plus, they can dive up to the 3rd level of the Abyss. Black Whistles can reach up to the 4th layer, and the braver Delvers are the White Whistles. They are the Delvers that change the world with their discoveries and are considered historical figures. They can go wherever they want in the Abyss, but since the 6th layer has such big repercussions, they usually stay above it. But some of them dive to the 6th layer and even lower, trying to uncover the truth of the Abyss. This is called the last dive, the most important journey of a Delver. From the first time I heard about the setting, I imagined wild adventures with fights for survival. Going into the unknown with the hope of making it big, unearthing rare artifacts, becoming a white whistle, shaking the world with your stories and your discoveries. It's a setting that allows many people to create their own stories, and already many people are playing games with this manga as their setting. It's just a setting that allows many people to create their own stories and adventures, and already people are playing games with this manga as their setting. And to tell the truth, even my mind is filled with creativity, ideas, and I want to write my own stories and play them with other people. But for now, let's talk about the main characters. First, we have Rico, the 12-year-old hyper-energetic living in an orphanage girl that wants to become a white whistle like her mother, Liza, the Lord of Annihilation. And for that, she tries hard every day to go deeper into the Abyss and become one of the best delvers out there. She always fights with Nat, another kid around her age from the orphanage that wants for Riko to stop being such a troublemaker and do her job. One day, Nat was almost eaten by a wild beast. Riko distracted it and the beast started chasing her. But when the beast finally cornered her, she screamed for help and was saved by a beam of light. Towards the source of the beam, she found a robot that looked like a boy that, with the help of Nat and Ziggy, another kid that knows a lot about the abyss and technology, managed to revive it. Riko named him Reg, the same name as the dog she had when she was younger. Unfortunately, Reg didn't remember anything, so the other kids helped him convince Zero, or as they call him Leader, the assistant institutor of the Belchero orphanage, that Reg is an orphan child, and they should take him in. So, Reg started working with the other kids, helping them clean, and learned many things about the abyss. After a few months though, an expedition from the lower layers returned and brought back Liza's white whistle and a letter. Riko learned that Liza's white whistle was found in a grave, so she's presumed dead. But she's not sad, since he had never met her. She got permission to see the letter, and with Reg on her side, they saw monsters that they have never seen before. But they also saw a drawing of a person that looked like Reg, along with a piece of paper saying, "I'll be waiting at the bottom of the abyss." With that, Riko decided that she'd leave the orphanage and travel the abyss. Reg decided to go with her, since he believed that he'd discover more about himself at the bottom. So, they bid farewell to the other kids and went down the abyss. So, this is a really good intro for a story. You have your amazing world building with a lot of information, but it's not complicated, so many people can enjoy it. Then you have your protagonists, Riko and Reg, that each one has his own reasons to dive into the abyss. Each volume gets better and better with the introduction of more dangerous layers of the abyss, more characters that each one has his own stories to show, and antagonists. And I'm not going to say anything about them. Now let's talk about the designs, and I can see that the designs are a little bit problematic. With that I mean that there are kids that get into dangerous situations and some people don't enjoy it because of that. I do enjoy them though, because yeah, they are simplistic, but they have so many details on their outfits that show their growth. An example of that is how Riko looks from the beginning of the story to the point we are right now, with all the details and battle scars she obtained with her descent. I can't say that much about Reg though, since his growth is more mechanical, with him learning more about his body, what he can do, and how he can use his abilities. But the one thing I can comment on is the backgrounds and the level of detail. The art for that is simply phenomenal. You got many and unique places, with each one being completely different from any other, and I just can't stop praising the series for this. So just know this art is the best I've seen for a long time, and I love it for this, since it makes the story more enjoyable. The story has a scope for legendary adventures, so if the art wasn't to par, it would make it feel a bit underwhelming. But this manages to add another layer of uniqueness. Unfortunately, each chapter takes a while to be released because of that. This manga began in 2012 and already it has 6 volumes under its belt. In 2017, Kinema Citrus turned it into a 13-episode anime. It was released in the summer and it was one of the best shows of the season. They respected the source material, so they didn't cut anything, just some nudity, but in terms of story, characters, setting and such, it's perfect. They did change a small thing at the final 1-hour special episode in order to set up for a sequel that I do hope they'll do, but they changed the order of things, so nothing major. The voice acting is also really good, but the thing I enjoyed the most is the soundtrack. It's a nice blend of ambient music with some unsettling pieces here and there and a few vocal tracks that are written in a fake language, or some call it the language of the abyss. It adds a nice flavor to the entire package. So, from what I've said till now, I think you can guess my personal opinion on it. I was one of the people that saw the anime and found out about the manga. I was a bit unimpressed at the beginning, but I did enjoy the world building. I'm a sucker for those. But once the descent to the abyss began, I was hooked and I wanted more. The main characters are really great, and I will spoil another character unfortunately here. Nanachi. She has a huge emotional baggage with her, proving that each character has his own story and goals. But I do have some problems with Made in Abyss. My main problem is that the story allows for a lot of theory crafting. You may wonder what's the problem with that. Sure, it can make people enjoy it more because they create their own stories in their heads and such, but it creates a lot of expectations. I've already seen a few theories out there that sound really far-fetched, yet logical. But when the story reveals the truth, it may leave a lot of things unexplained, and many people may stop reading and start bashing because their headcanon isn't real, even though it was so much better from what the author wrote. I've seen it happen many times till now, and I really hope it doesn't happen to this one. And here we come to my second problem. The speed of its release. That combines a little bit with my first problem. The question that rises with this is, where is this manga going? So, what will happen in the end? Will we see Liza alive and well? Will we find out the truth about the abyss? Will they go up to the surface again? Will everyone die? Many questions that will go unanswered for months and even years. That, as I said previously, it creates a lot of expectations. I do hope that we will see more soon. Lastly, unfortunately, the only way to read this manga right now is from the internet. But in 2018 it will be released for 7 Seas Entertainment. They will release the first 3 volumes, and I do hope the translation will be good. And that was it all for this episode. I'm NTG, and until next time, keep reading. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Please click here to see another episode and click the button down below to subscribe. See ya!